Day 33, and we're rolling out of Graz after 4 nights of rest and relaxation and moderate activity. I am back on the road for the next phase of the expedition. Spent a considerable amount of time actually considering what might be the best course of action, given that the weather has really turned quite poor. But I'm back on the bike and heading in a generally southeasterly direction to start with, down the River Muir towards Maribor tonight, where I'm meeting an old friend from uni, Tristan, and then onwards towards the Danube. Day 34, Maribor, rolling out, and for the first time on the tour, I've got company. This is what happens when you leave the navigation in the hands of an inexperienced tourer. Wading across streams. That's the first on this trip actually. Look at this. Ridiculous. See ya! There he goes. And here we are, country 8 of the tour, at the Croatian border. I had a fairly non-eventful or uneventful roll down into Maribor from Graz yesterday. About 70k, most of which was down the River Muir, and then a bit of busy road across the border into country 7, Slovenia. And a couple of hours waiting for Tristan to turn up, who was coming down from Vienna. And there's a bit of a miscommunication on the room booking, so we ended up with 2 rooms. Fortunately, one hadn't been paid for, and so the good lady at reception kindly cancelled one of the rooms, so avoided double payment, and had a lovely evening. Massive pizza and a couple of beers. And today, done about 50k to the Croatian border, and now have not really got a clue what I'm doing route wise. Heading for a place called Varisden, about 15k from here. And unfortunately I've had a couple of mechanicals. Very fortunate with the first one, I'd actually lost a bolt from the pannier rack and the thing was half hanging off, and I realised that the decathlon in Maribor, which we diverted to get some gloves for Tristan, and so managed to get a bolt plus a spare. And I've also picked up a little bit of a buckle on the front wheel. I hit some roots pretty hard on the cycle path, and so I'm just getting a little bit of a wiggle on with all this weight on the front of the bars, so I'm going to need to get that seen to in the next few days, I think. I've just ridden past a pharmacy board that told me the temperature 1 degree. Feels about right. It's cold, it's damp, it's not great touring conditions today. Day 35, 7 AM, and it's been raining literally all night, pretty heavily. I am toasty warm and dry here, and I'm about 10 kilometres past Varisden. I did about 20k from the border once Tristan left me, and I'm going to seek some accommodation tonight to dry the gear. It was pretty uneventful mileage really, not a great deal of interest, and very cold, very drizzly. Went into the town last night for a quick beer and reluctantly onward to put the tent up, but actually had a pretty good spot last night. Pretty bleak scenes today. 2.7 degrees today as we enter Ludbreg, awaiting train. Well, it's pretty average touring really. Flat, very agricultural, wet, cold. I'm pretty much fully layered, overshoes, gloves, 4 layers, cold fingers and toes. Slightly worried about dropping the phone. And it's about 60k onto Virovitica, where I've booked some quite luxurious sounding accommodation for a quite reasonable €35, including breakfast. So picked up a few bakery treats and gonna get my head down. Had a lovely little stop for a coffee by the radiator and log burner. Very, very warm. Got the overshoes dry and warmed up. And a good man took a picture of me for his Facebook page. He was quite interested in where I was going and made me a hot tea for the road, which I'm enjoying with a bit of burek by this fountain, and presumably something special about this big log. Haven't yet found out what. Rolling in Virovitica. It's been an absolutely routine 100 kilometres, nothing to report at all. It's rained all day, and so looking forward to getting in, getting dry. Still got little even Croatia, can't get away from the place. Here we are, checking in. Strange little room, but very nice, very warm. Plenty of ceiling space for tent drying. Not even 3 o'clock. A little bit decadent. And something we've not really seen much of at all on this trip is kettle and tea bags. Gonna get my money's worth here. Back on the open road, day 36 into week 6 of the tour today. And thankfully it's a dry one this morning. Left the accommodation 7:15, a little bit sloppy really, and faffed about getting some groceries and cleaning the chain. However, we're moving, which is the main thing, and nice quiet road for this morning's ride. And I'm looking to get to a place called Osijek today, about 130k away, very near where I meet the Danube. Well, this has pretty much been it so far today, and I imagine will be for the rest of it as well. It's very, very flat, very agricultural. The River Drava is somewhere way on my left, and just eating up the KMs, spinning away merrily. It's not the Alps, not a Collins site, but really quite enjoyable actually. So it continues. First time since Graz, and the sun is out. Woo! Bit of coffee brewing. It's about 11:30. The sun is out, and I'm making excellent progress. It's only about 45 kilometres to Osijek, which is my main objective for today. Being extremely patient using the rest of this gas cylinder. It's just warming the coffee to about, I don't know, 40 degrees and keeping it there in the chill. 35 kilometres to Osijek, and I've seen something most unusual on the left here. A tree for a hill, a peak. I've seen one of those for a long time. Delightful little light tailwind today. It's actually very similar to the northern Italy phase, aside from there's 0 mountain vistas aside from that hill back there, and it's about 20 degrees colder. Downtown Osijek, 2:15. Very happy with progress. Going to find myself a Pekara, bit of refreshment, and head on to the Danube very shortly. Cracking! Just leaving Osijek, and I've rejoined the River Drava, which is the one that flows into the Danube, which I think will be a little bit too far for today. Mixed feelings. Rolled in a little bit tired and thought I'd withdraw a few kuna for coffees and such like, and ended up paying £4 to withdraw about £12, which is very, very frustrating. So appalled was I by the idea of paying a fee to extract cash that I was maybe a bit hasty. And then I was appallingly indecisive. There were many cafe stop-off options available. Ended up in an American diner of all places. What was I thinking? However, back on the road, got about an hour and a half of light, and gonna head down the Drava and see if we can find a spot for the tent. Look at this bridge, lovely. Well, Croatia definitely hasn't been as bicycle friendly as previous countries, but bit of golden hour riverside touring here, looking very good indeed. The lovely riverside cycle path dumped me back on a muddy footpath with steps back to the main road after about 500 metres, and it struck me that I've not seen a single bit of Croatia yet that isn't either developed or agricultural, which is going to make finding a camping spot a little bit tricky, I think.